I get a question all the time from various people who contact me, from my clients and from people who contact me from around the world. They tell me, no matter what I do, I can't burn fat and I can't build muscle. I feel like I'm some kind of genetic freak because I can't burn fat and I can't build muscle. And I want to tell all of you this. The idea that building muscle and burning fat and having that ability makes you somehow genetically superior to others lies in it a fundamental misunderstanding about human evolution. The fact of the matter is, the human species survived over thousands of years by conserving fat and deteriorating muscle. Why? Well, because fat is the most energy efficient tissue on the body. Muscle is the most energy eating tissue on the body. So way back, all of us, our ancestors, survived by building up fat in their systems, right? For instance, a person who is overweight and pre-diabetic is probably going to survive a lot longer than I am in a world where we have to travel long distances and can only eat every 6 or 7 days. In fact, a person who's pre-diabetic and overweight is built perfectly for that. And what we fail to understand is that though we know today that we are not going to starve, that person who is pre-diabetic and overweight, their body still thinks that they're in that world. In fact, all of our bodies still think that we're in that world. Our bodies have not evolved past that point. And so to think that you are somehow genetically inferior because you can't build muscle and burn fat, that is enslaving your mind, my friend. You are telling yourself that you can't do something and that it is going to be impossible for you. The fact of the matter is that it is possible for you if you learn how to adapt to your environment, because genetics don't determine everything. We have brains. That's the beauty of being a human being. We adapt and overcome. We are able to recognize our surroundings, though our primal selves are always speaking in the back of our ear, and we have to be cognizant of what is going to, what that primal self is going to make us do. For instance, it is going to make us crave salt, sugar, and fat. But we have the ability to recognize that. We have a conscious and a subconscious. So if you're out there and you think that you're stuck, what do? How do we overcome this? How do we get beyond our genetics and begin to understand how we can burn fat and build muscle in today's world in abundance where we don't need the fat anymore? Well, the biggest ability that you have is your ability to learn. The problem is that you are learning from an industry, the bodybuilding industry, that is separated into cliques. We have different diet cults within the bodybuilding industry, and every one of them exists just to support itself. So if you are in one of those cliques, rather than taking a little bit of information here and a little bit of information here, you say, no, I am a flexible dieter. No, I'm a bodybuilder and I will diet like this. And everything you do seeks to legitimize that method. And then you forsake all others and you neglect to put this information together. And you may or may not be in one of these cliques, but all of the information is being generated by those diet cliques. So your mind starts to get confused, and for the person sitting at home who has no stake in anything, that can be extremely confusing, because you're reading one person saying that, oh, you should go low carb, and you're reading another person saying, oh, you should eat 200 grams a day according to this macronutrient counter. There's one person that's going to tell you to eat what you want and have a Pop-Tart in moderation, and another person who's going to tell you to eat dried chicken and vegetables all the time. Where do you go? What do you do? Well, the best thing you could do is to understand that that is all nonsense. What I just talked about is all nonsense. And what you have to do is two things. One, forsake the bodybuilding literature and go out and learn about the human body. Right? That means going to higher level thinkers. Don't come to people like me or any of the other people here on YouTube, why don't you read some stuff that was produced by people from Harvard? For instance, why don't you read The Story of the Human Body by Professor Lieberman of Harvard? He talks about evolutionary mismatch and the very thing that has gotten you into the point where you are having trouble keeping fat off your body in today's society of abundance. Why don't you go and read books about diabetes, right? Which is the opposite end of the spectrum of bodybuilding. If we are trying to build muscle and burn fat, we should know how to keep ourselves out of a diabetic state, which is the opposite end of the spectrum. And the knowledge therein will probably help us along in our journey. You should begin to learn about food and how our food is sourced. Learn about the processes it goes through and how our body reacts to the different types of ingredients in those foods. And various books about food. I'm reading one right now called The Omnivore's Dilemma. I'm also reading one called Salt, Sugar, and Fat, which talks about how companies actually spike our food with sugar to get to speak to our primal brain, to get our instincts to choose that food immediately. And they put a lot of money into this. I'm not making any specific diet recommendations here, because if you want those diet recommendations, you can look at my other videos or you can look at any of the things I've written. But what I'm telling you is much greater than a specific piece of diet advice. This is a philosophy of living. If you want something, you need to educate yourself and you need to learn. And you need to look deeper than to those people who are over here trying to get your attention like this. Because if somebody is trying to get your attention, my friend, then they are also trying to get something from you. Or they are trying to just legitimize something that they are doing. That's about all I have to say for today. If you have questions for me, I am trying to open this up to all of you. I would love to answer your questions on this channel. Just hit me up at gettingtoshredded@gmail.com. And I hope you all have a wonderful weekend and a wonderful day. Peace.